The Run with Manny Wilson podcast is brought to you by Fifth Investments. Sports betting is cool, but you can really get the most out of your money trading in the stock market. You can make money when stocks go up, and you can make money when stocks go down. But all you need is a little guidance. So use the Fifth Investment Stock Trading Journal to help you get started right away. Fifth Investments is a fantastic resource for daily trade ideas, market analysis, news, and information for navigating the stock market. They got you covered with long-term, short-term, options trading, and more. So go to fiftinvestments.com and use the promo code THERUN for $20 off your premier membership, or just sign up for free. Trade the stock market and perfect a skill that's going to last you a lifetime.
The information is not trading or investment advice. The newsletter is only a personal blog that is being offered publicly for general information purposes only.
Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. We got a great episode for you today, but man, first off, thank you for tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast. You know, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you like, dislike, agree with, disagree with, want to outsmart me, give us a call at 219-413-9405 and leave your quick take. We will air it back on the show today. Now, the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat, they played game 2 the other night. I took a poll on our social medias before this game. I asked who was going to win game 2. Now, 71% of y'all said Denver Nuggets was going to win. 29% said the Miami Heat was going to win, and look what happened. The Miami Heat ended up winning this ball game 111-108. Now, there was one last opportunity at the end of the game. I thought Denver was actually going to capitalize on it. Mike Malone could have called the timeout and set up a three-point opportunity for Jamal Murray, but that wasn't the way that it went. Jamal Murray ended up shooting a three. He was short. He missed the shot. Denver ends up losing, but I'm not upset at the shot that he took. A lot of people were kind of talking about it was a bad shot. Malone should have definitely called the timeout. But even if you give Eric Spoelstra a chance to set up that Miami Heat defense, it's no telling you'll get a better look than what Jamal Murray got, because it wasn't a bad shot, truth be told. So that's the first thing. And then, as I've mentioned before, man, the Miami Heat deserve every bit of respect that they've been fighting for and that they've earned. Because when we watched them play like they did last night, that is the best version of the Miami Heat team. That is top tier Miami Heat basketball that we watched, man. Amazing starts to the game, amazing start to the second half, and then it was a great finish in the fourth quarter. I mean, starting the game, the Heat went on a 10-2 run to begin the game. They was whacking Denver. You had Max Strus making his threes throughout the game. He came out hot. They played great defense. It was a 10-2 run in that first quarter with the Miami Heat. But it gets even better because the second half, the start of the third quarter, Heat went on to score 11 points in 2 minutes, still played great defense. And in the fourth quarter, they outscored the Denver Nuggets 36-25 in the fourth quarter. But man, the reason why I say the play was so much better is because 69% shooting in the fourth quarter alone. They shot 55% from the three-point line in the fourth quarter alone. They were knocking things down on all cylinders. You had 3 people on that team with 20-plus points. Bam, Jimmy, and Gabe Vincent all kind of went off through the game. 48% from the game from the three-point line, knocking down shots. They played physical defense. They made their shots, and they were able to get to the free throw line. So what more can you ask for this Miami Heat team in terms of watching good basketball and watching a complete basketball team? Not just the star, not just a one-dimensional guy or a guy who's doing everything on his own. I'm saying a complete basketball team. What more can you ask for? It was a great performance from the Miami Heat. And I also want to give a special shout out to Bam Adebayo and Kevin Love. That was a mix-up I seen from head coach Eric Spoelstra as well. Bam played great. A lot of time I feel like Bam doesn't get the credit because he's not given the flashy numbers or high totals, but he's probably the one with the toughest task this entire finals. He's guarding Jokic on one end, and then he still has to be somewhat aggressive on the offensive end. We seen him capitalize on the offensive end. He had some good shots. He got to the line a few times. He made a lot of mid-range jumpers, set his teammates up as well. Was aggressive when it was necessary. And then for Kevin Love, he helped Bam Adebayo out a lot on the boards, grabbing 10 of them and pretty much protecting the paint as well on the defensive end, spreading the floor on the offensive end. So it was a lot of things that Kevin Love did in the game too that don't show up on the stat sheet, but was very, very impactful in the game. So kudos to both of those guys, man. They definitely, deserve this win. Miami Heat, they came out, bullied the Denver Nuggets, and they earned this win. Truth be told, that's all it was. Because Denver has to clean up a couple things. I'm going to say this, and then we'll jump to the voicemail as well, because we got a couple voicemails in here. But Denver, they got to clean up on a couple things. The defensive effort and intensity was definitely lacking through the night. I seen that. They got to force Miami off the three-point line. From something that I noticed. In game one, they kind of got away with it because Miami couldn't make a lot of their threes. You had Max Strus shooting 0 for 9 from the three-point line, which was probably not going to happen again. But because of that, a lot of people looked at it as Denver is going to easily beat this team, when in reality, Miami just played a bad game. They just weren't making their shots in game one. In the game two, clearly they were making a lot of their shots, and that defensive effort was exposed by the Denver Nuggets. They wasn't there. They wasn't in people's faces. They wasn't closing out as intense as they usually were in different games of this playoffs. And then on the offensive end, you have to knock down shots. Michael Porter Jr., who's a three-point shooter for the Denver Nuggets, exceptional three-point shooter, was 0 for 6 in the fourth quarter. In the second half, correction. Michael Porter Jr. was 0 for 6 in the second half from three-point attempts, 1 for 8 in the entire second half from shooting the ball. Jamal Murray also had a bad shooting night in that second half, 0 for 4 in three-point attempts, 3 for 10 in that whole second half, only had 2 points in the fourth quarter. I wouldn't have played his ass the whole fourth quarter either, honestly, if he was shooting that bad throughout the second half. So I understand, but those are some of the things they're going to have to do better. And a lot of it comes with playing good on the defensive end and that translating over to the offensive end. Just because you don't see a shot go down on the offensive end from three, that doesn't mean you don't have to play defense. You still got to play defense on the other end of the ball. So that's my thoughts on there. Let's hear what you guys were talking about, because I know a couple of you guys left some voicemails about this Miami Heat game and the Denver Nuggets of game 2. So let's hear it, man. Here's the voicemail call. Let's do it right now.
Hello, Miami Heat. My name is Juwan Griffin.
What's the deal?
I am sorry.
Wait. I think I didn't get it at first. I did not get it at first, but I think I get it. I got to play it one more time.
Miami Heat. My name is Juwan Griffin. I am sorry.
He's apologizing to the Heat. Juan, we need more like you, man. Juwan, we need more like you. We need more like you. I appreciate it, and I understand it now. So on the polls of the Instagram, he voted that the Denver Nuggets were going to sweep the Miami Heat. Clearly, that didn't happen because Heat won one of the games. And I told y'all, Heat is not getting swept. You got to give these guys the respect. They play great basketball. So that apology, I'm not a Miami Heat fan, but if you're a Miami Heat fan, listen to this, you should accept that apology. Man, I've been trying to tell y'all too that the Heat deserves a lot more respect for what they get. They play great basketball, and just because they aren't star dominant, they don't get that respect that they should deserve and that they do deserve, honestly. So kudos to you for apologizing, man, enough, but I respect it. All right, we got one more. Let's do it.
What's up, man? It's your boy Boots with another take, man, on this
What's
game.
the deal?
Too. The Heat, I said the Heat, oh my goodness. The Heat had fought real hard, you know what I'm saying, the second half, overcame a lot of obstacles. My biggest take is Jamal Murray wasn't really playing up to his level of play, I want to say.
That's facts.
And I want to say that played a huge factor on the Heat comeback, but if Jamal Murray was hitting, it's a bit bad news for them boys. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably gonna be Denver in 6, Denver in 5, but Denver's winning this series because how often is Jamal Murray gonna go cold like that?
That's true.
Another great adjustment I've seen the Heat do. They put Kevin Love in, which allowed Jimmy to guard Jamal. I think that's what slowed them down a lot. So they continue to do that. I think the Heat will have a great chance of pushing this series a little more. But in reality, in my opinion, I still think it's in 5 or 6.
You know, I agree with a lot that you said, and I've been trying to tell y'all forever since the series started that Denver Nuggets was going to win in 6. I think Denver Nuggets is the more talented team, but Miami is very aggressive. They play very intense. They play with a lot of aggression and a lot of force, as Eric Spoelstra says, when they play against any team in the playoffs. And to me, for that reason, that's why it's going to go to 6 games. I don't think Miami, they definitely have a shot to win, but I think Denver plays with a lot of the similar aggression and a lot of the similar intensity, and they also have more talent on that team. That's why I say Denver's going to win. But very true. That was some great insights there, Boots, a lot about the Kevin Love thing, and then allowing Jimmy Butler to guard Jamal Murray as well. But 100% agree that Jamal Murray has to step up. Last night it was just only Nikola Jokic going off, and throughout the second half, I think Jokic had 17 points in that third quarter alone, but he was really carrying that offense alone by himself. And they got to help him out between Michael Porter Jr., Caldwell Pope, even Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray. Somebody has to help Nikola Jokic out, especially when they're going on a scoring run like that, going bucket for bucket with the Miami Heat like that. And then obviously Jokic goes to the fourth quarter, still plays a great game, but just needs a little bit more help to be able to get over the hump and actually pull that game out. But here's something, and another reason that kind of adds to that Denver Nuggets in 6 as well, because Jamal Murray probably will not have another bad night like you mentioned. But also, too, when him and Jokic are clicking together, they're that much more difficult to beat, even if they make mistakes throughout the game, like we've seen in Game 2, even if it is an absurd amount of turnovers and more turnovers like they had in Game 2, because there was multiple points in the game where they were flipping the ball, missing open shots, stuff like that. So when you have both of those guys, your two premier scorers on your offense, scoring the ball equally, it is going to take a lot of pressure off the road guys. They won't have to be asked to give you 15 points or anything like that. They'll be okay with just making a couple threes. But long story short, I 100% agree with you, man. Look, we got some news coming up. And of course, man, if you want to hear your take heard, you want to share something about the Denver Nuggets, the Miami Heat, or else any other thing that's going on in the sports world, go ahead, give us a call, 219-413-9405, and we will play your take back here on the episode and we'll recap it. But until then, we got some news coming up, man. We'll go ahead, touch on a couple different things, and then we got my Detroit Pistons. We are going to be elite again. I don't care what nobody say. The league is better when the Pistons are good. Let's just face it. All right, but look, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. I'll explain in just a second. All right, let's get into it, you guys. News for the run. Starting off with the NFL, the Bills quarterback Josh Allen is rumored to be the next cover athlete for Madden 24, according to NFL insider Dov Kleiman. And in the NBA, the Detroit Pistons have hired former Phoenix Suns head coach Monty Williams, making him the highest paid head coach in NBA history. Monty Williams signed a 6-year, $78 million coaching deal that is said to be worth $100 million after contract incentives, according to Shams. Wow. The coaching frenzy continues in the NBA. The Phoenix Suns, they hire former Lakers coach Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel, he coached the Los Angeles Lakers to winning a championship back in 2020 in the bubble. And the 3-time NBA champion Sam Cassell will be joining the Boston Celtics coaching staff as an assistant coach. Now, the Stanley Cup Finals are here. The Golden Knights, they beat the Panthers in Game 1, 5-2, and they currently lead the series 1-0. Game 2 takes place tonight in Vegas. MLB scores, I got a couple of those for you as well. The Phillies, they whacked the Nationals 11-3. Tampa Bay Rays, they beat the Red Sox 6-2. The Brewers, they beat the Reds 5-1. Angels finished with the win over the Astros 2-1. Royals were too much for the Rockies. White Sox, they beat the Tigers. Unfortunately, I'm a Tigers fan. Rangers, they beat the Mariners. Cubs, they smoked the Padres. And the Yankees were too much for the Dodgers. All right, now my Detroit Pistons, we've hired former Phoenix Suns coach Monty Williams, as I mentioned, making him the highest paid NBA coach in history. And Stephen Silas will also be joining the Pistons staff as an assistant coach. Now, I know this was a crazy move for the Pistons, and I really do love this move. I'm so excited about it. But first things first, man, this is a shit ton of money. Oh my gosh, $78 million, 6 years. Monty Williams is definitely deserving of it. And there's nothing in my mind that doubts he won't help flip what we're doing around, because we suck right now and we really can't get any worse. So to me, that was kind of one of the first things I thought about with this deal was, yeah, it's a lot of money, but how can it really hurt us in the long run outside of the tax, of paying this man? But other than that, man, it's a great move. Monty Williams was the coach of the year. He helped get multiple teams to the Eastern Conference Finals at one point in time. He's been there multiple times. He went to the NBA Finals with the Phoenix Suns. I love that, he has some experience around him, and also to his development in players. We've witnessed him help develop multiple players throughout the league. Devin Booker being one of them, Chris Paul being one of them, Cameron Payne being one of them, and many more that he's been allowed to coach. So I love the move. However, this is not the final block that we need for the Detroit Pistons to win a championship. I know, I know a lot of my Pistons fans are crazy, just like me, and they love the move, but we're not going to win a championship next year, the year after that, or possibly the year after that. Honestly, I've been saying, I'm on the record saying 2028 through 2032 is our year, and I still believe 2028 will be back to relevancy. We'll probably have that NBA championship by 2032. I'm on record saying it, and I still firmly believe that. So when I look at this move, it's another stepping stone to helping us get back to that relevancy. We got great picks thanks to Troy Weaver. I don't know why people were saying he's a bust or whatever. I mean, he drafted very well in the draft. Cade, Ivy, made some trades to get Duran. Oh, we drafted Duran, made some trades to get some role guys, get Wiseman. So I love what we're doing right now, but you got to understand a rebuild doesn't turn around, within 1 or 2 years, unless you already have the guys on your team that can swap for other great players that's going to help turn it around. We were starting with nothing. I don't think people realize that. We started with Andre Drummond as our best piece to move around and try and bring some talent into a rebuild. Seriously. No disrespect to Drummond. He's a great player. He's doing his thing over in Chicago. But come on now. Come on now. When you start with Drummond compared to starting with a KD and Westbrook and James Harden, like come on now. You can only get so many great pieces, and then you got to wait for your pieces that you get in return to develop, which is what we're doing, waiting on Cade to develop, have a healthy season finally, waiting for Ivy to get some experience, waiting for Wiseman to develop as a athlete who's been in the league for a couple years, waiting for Duran to get that maturity and actually continue to develop and becoming a star. It's a lot of great talent that we have, but it just takes time to develop. And then now with the 5th pick, this is something too that really concerns me with the 5th pick. Only way I'll be mad at the Pistons is if we try to keep this 5th pick in the draft. Oh my gosh. That's something we cannot do. That is going to infuriate me on the level of as if we lost the playoff game. It's gonna really, really piss me off if we try and keep this 5th pick, because it's just not worth it, man. It's not worth it. There's far too much talent out there to go scoop up and try and trade using that 5th pick and bring to Detroit, rather than trying to draft another young guy who's going to take another 3 to 4 years to actually reaching his peak maybe, or reaching an idea that shows he's going to be able to reach that full potential that he has. I'm not looking for that. We already got great young guys. Let's bring in somebody who's been in the league for about 4 to 5, 6 years in the NBA and ready to fit into a team and gonna ball out, can work in many different areas, can shoot, can dribble, can be a great wing guy, can play defense. We need pieces that are gonna adjust well with our young guys. That's gonna complement our young guys and be able to elevate them, help them develop as well. Like, I know it's a lot, and I know the Monty Williams hype is a lot. People were talking about him bringing others as well. I think that he does have the potential to do that, but at the same time, we got to come back down to reality as well and understand that we're not going to win a championship next year. I love the move, but it's another stepping stone in this rebuilding process that takes a long time. I mean, you think of some of the great teams that's been along the way, some of the dynasties, and how long they stunk up the place before they got to where they are now. Like, it takes some time. The San Antonio Spurs, they were great. And now they've been stinking up the place just like the Detroit Pistons. They got another break with Victor Wembanyama, of course, but that's a different story. But even the Golden State Warriors, the Warriors, come on, people don't even remember the last time they won a championship before Steph Curry. I think it was Wilt Chamberlain. They were stinking up the place for a long time. Cleveland Cavaliers always stunk up the place from the 90s up until LeBron went back to Cleveland. Like, come on, man. So I understand the hype and I understand the emotions behind it of stepping stones, but just know we're headed in the right direction. That's all I want to see is the Pistons continue to take steps that's in the right direction, and us bringing Monty Williams and Silas over to Detroit is definitely a step in the right direction. So I love that we're making that transition. I love that we're making that move. We just need a healthy season out of all of our guys, and we need a couple more key pieces that we should bring in by trading that 5th pick in the draft. But other than that, something to be proud of from the Detroit Pistons, something to be proud of from Gores, the owner, who's actually showing some seriousness in making the Pistons relevant again. I love that. We're one of the 7 teams in the NBA that have 3 or more championships. So damn it, we got to start acting like it, and we got to start being relevant again. So I love that. All right, man. But look, if you got an opinion about the Pistons, go ahead, give us a call, 219-413-9405. Share your take, we'll play it back. Pistons talk is always welcome on here. I just need to let that be known. Pistons talk is always welcome on here. I don't care what the hell we talking about, what season. We can always talk about the Detroit Pistons. That will always be my favorite team. I don't care how bad, how good they are. It will always be my favorite team. So let's do it. But anyway, give us a call, 219-413-9405. Even if you just want to outsmart me, share an opinion on anything, go ahead, drop that take. But in the meantime, I appreciate you tuning in, whether it's on Spotify, iPodcast, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, the RunUSA.com. Not YouTube TV, or YouTube. So I appreciate that if you're sitting here watching on YouTube, man, of course. And you can find us on Instagram to participate on the polls at The Run Podcast. You can follow my personal as well at I am Manny Wilson. But until then, we will be back later on next week, and so on and so on and so on. The Run with Manny Wilson podcast is brought to you by 5th Investments. Investing is the easiest way to double your money, especially when you do it right. Most of us need help with getting started, right? I'm telling you right now, 5th Investments is the easiest way to take your first step. You can sign up for the daily trading journal, weekly newsletter, including trade ideas, market analysis, news, and information on navigating the stock market. They got you covered with long-term, short-term, options trading, and more. So go to 5thinvestments.com and use the promo code THERUN for $20 off your premier membership, or just sign up for free. Trade the stock market and perfect a skill that's going to last you a lifetime.
The information is not trading or investment advice. The newsletter is only a personal blog that is being offered publicly for general information purposes only.